Hi guys, this is Frank with Tiny Plastic Spaceman. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can convert and customize your Blood Bowl human models super easily. If you have any questions or comments, be sure to put them down below and I'll get to them as quickly as I can. Okay, so what we've got here are the standard human players from the 2016 Games Workshop Blood Bowl set. Now these instructions, as such as they are, will work on any plastic or metal figure. I'm just going to show you just the very basics. So basically what we've got here, this is the standard pose of the human catcher figure. You can see it's classic American football, catching a ball in one hand. And what I've done on the modified one is just raise that left arm just a little bit. So it's just a little bit different. I haven't done anything else major to it. These are quite monoposy sort of look, so just wanted to change things. You can see here I've twisted the, which one is it? I've twisted this arm and I've brought forward this arm. So on most of these guys, I've changed the left arm on one and the right arm on the other, because you basically get two identical sprues of each guy. You can see here just very slightly different pose, nothing hugely challenging really. I'm not doing a full resculpt or anything. You can see here this is not huge changes on these guys. So this arm is brought forward and this arm is brought forward, as you can see. On the throwers, I did change. I think I did change both of them. This is the standard right arm, and I brought it down a bit so he's just about to bring it up, or he's thinking. And what is it on this arm? I've turned it slightly. So these modifications really easy, and this is just a starting point guide to just so you can see what it takes to do. So now I've got in the back here, you can see obviously I've got the a bunch of tools. First thing is my favorite side cutters ever. These will not work, however, because I don't have do I have a sprue here? Yeah. So I've got a bit of sprue here, and you can see that if I want to make it, I want to have an absolutely perfect fit flush cut. So I can basically cut, turn a piece, and attach it back. So if I try that with a bit of sprue, see, it's great on this side, not so great on this side because it's got a very deep cut to it. See, it's like that V shape. That's not so good. So you can do that on like a piece of armor or a piece of sprue, or scrap plastic or whatever. It's not going to work so well because you're going to have to cut it and then shorten the other side that has the V cut, because you have to flatten that cut now. And then you've lost about 2 or 3 millimeters, or up to an 1/8 inch of plastic. Okay, so these are great for clipping the models off the sprues, but not so great for this type of modification. So what we're going to use is the razor saw. Now this is the X-Acto version. Citadel make their own, or Games Workshop, and I'm told it's pretty good. It actually looks like there's a lot of cool pieces to it. Different blades and stuff like that. So razor saw is an absolute must for this type of modification. And then to clean up, I've got the mold line removal tool, files, and you have a selection of glues here. A lot of people like to use super glue. This is the Gorilla brand. I prefer the Deluxe Material stuff, but the Gorilla Glue works really well also. This is the fast acting type glue in these little bottles like that. There's also this standard gel glue, which is slower, but works really well. And if you're going to do major modifications like bending the legs, for example, and you're going to be reshaping pieces, you're going to need a pin vise with, I think this is a 1 or a 1.5 mil, I think it's a 1 mil drill bit, and paper clips and wire cutters, just to so you can basically reposition the legs however you want. And then if you have big gaps and stuff like that, you're going to need some putty. Like, these are my two favorite brands. This one, if you use tools to apply the putty, this one works really well. you're going to need to sand it down anyway, so you are going to need some tools. But this one works really well. Also the Vallejo stuff, or Vallejo, because it's got a very small applicator tip, and if you need to, you can get right in there and just put just the tiniest amount of putty in, and then let it dry, sand it down, and you're done. You can also use green stuff. I tend not to use that because it takes a lot longer to dry, but you can mold it if you're a sculptor. If you have any sort of skills like that, that can work really, really well. So what I'm going to do is modify one of these guys. Now this guy is completely standard. You see his arms are sort of like welcoming, like waiting for a hug, right? I've already modified this one, so I'm going to modify the right arm on this guy. I'm going to modify the left arm on this guy, and it's very, very simple. So let me just move these guys out of the way. So what we're looking at is, let me just reposition slightly, and we'll get back to it. Okay, so we have our linesman here, or lineman. So what we're looking to do is, we're basically going to take the razor saw and just cut them right at the elbow here, just like that. Okay, right behind this little gauntlet bracer piece. So it's very, very simple. You get your razor saw, and the nice thing is you lose almost no material with this. You give it a draw, just like using a wood saw, for example. I'm just putting it right in the crook of the arm. So I'm losing very, very little plastic. And I'm trying to do this properly so you guys can see it well on camera. You can use like a... there he goes. And I've just lost the arm in my detritus of stuff on the floor. Let me just find that, and I'll be right back. Okay, so that bounced a little bit farther than I expected, but I found the arm. So there we are. So now, if we just reattach it, if we get this guy back, this is the standard left arm, remember? So if we just attach it straight back, it's in the same angle, the exact same angle, with losing about, what, not even 0.5 millimeter, which is a tiny little amount of thickness, because that's about how thick this bit of the blade is, right? So now what we're going to do is just decide where we want it. So you can see on the right arm, on this guy here, we just bent the arm forward a little bit, and you might do the same thing here, and maybe have it bent so it's twisting down a bit. So something like this instead of like that. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. So what we're going to do is, first we're just going to clean up the bits of the cutting around the edge, and you can use a file for this. If you want to do really fine changes to the angle, you can use a file. But what I'm going to do here is basically just cut this here using, so you can see that. So cut off just a little bit, so it's basically the arm is turned at a bit of an angle. That's how much sprue I've cut off. Not a huge amount, but for a single figure it will be significant. So basically that's the kind of pose I'm going for. So you see how different they are. See? Now, like I said, if you wanted, you can use a file. A flat file would work best for something like this. If you wanted to really, really fine tune the angle there. So if I wanted to make it a little bit less, I'd grind it like that. If I want to make a bit more, I'd grind it like that. Hopefully that makes sense. And you'll notice that on this one, there is an arm band that goes across the inside of the forearm, right there. And obviously I've cut that away. But it's a Blood Bowl model. I'm not going to be going for Golden Demon or anything like that. I'm not going to go too crazy and make everything absolutely perfect. You can see that armband here, there, and then there's the other armband there, where my fingernails are. So I'm not going to try and replicate that. If I really want to, I just put that in place with paint. So what I'm going to do is just going to get my quick acting plastic cement and just put a dab there. And it's already being sort of cemented in place. And you can see around the edges where it's you can still shift it around a little bit, because the inside edge of the arm, I'm not really that concerned about how it's going to look, because you're mostly going to be looking at from this sort of angle anyway. You're rarely going to be looking at them up close. So once I'm happy, just put another application and that will seal it. And so there we are. Very easy, very quick. And there you go. There's the comparison of the arm shapes. Okay, so these are just the standard human lineman, and there you go. That's it. So hope you enjoyed that. Okay, so that's it. Pretty easy, isn't it? So now you know how you can convert and customize your Blood Bowl human models so that they don't all look identical out on the pitch, especially compared with everyone else's models that they've gotten from the same box set. So if you have any questions or comments, make sure to put them down below and I'll get to them as quickly as I can. Be sure to check us out at tinyplasticspaceman.com. Search for us on Facebook at tinyplasticspaceman, and on Instagram we're at TPS Painting Studio. Okay, so that's it. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next video.